Hey, I got a question for you.
Huh?
How long is that gonna last?
What, anime? Everyone loves it, and it's making so much money. It's gonna go on forever.
That's not the way I see it. From the looks of it, things aren't going too well. If this keeps up, there could be some serious problems in the future.
You don't know what you're talking about. Anime's doing just fine.
Oh yeah? You have to look past the surface and see what's happening!
On January 30th of this year, famed Evangelion creator Hideaki Anno spoke at the Manga, Anime, and Game Parliamentary Association in front of 110 Japanese lawmakers. It was here that he voiced concerns over the current state of the anime industry. And that might sound odd, considering that the industry itself seems to be doing just fine, especially in recent years. However, when you look past the surface, the cracks begin to become visible. According to Anno, a huge problem the industry as a whole is facing right now is a lack of skilled professionals.
There's a serious shortage of workers in the industry. When there isn't enough labor on hand, production slows down. Many anime are currently being postponed due to a lack of workers.
And naturally, it makes you wonder, right? Anime is so cool. Why on earth would anyone not want it to be their career?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yeah, it's no secret at this point, especially if you've watched some of our past videos, that working in the anime industry is not fun for a slew of different reasons. For one, working in anime is an incredibly unforgiving job. Most staff work long, grueling hours for minuscule pay. According to a 2024 survey put out by the Nippon Anime Film Culture Association, close to 40% of anime staff make less than 200,000 yen a month, which when converted to US dollars is a little over $1,200, at least at the time of this video. And this is after working anywhere from 10 to 12 plus hours a day, which a large percentage of anime staff do. And I know what you're thinking, wow, that's pretty rough, isn't it? Well, what if I told you that it used to be even worse? Yeah, apparently this version of the anime industry isn't even as bad as how it used to be. What I'm saying is that the bar really isn't that high. In fact, you know what? Like, it's in hell. Like, let's be real here. Anno believes that one of the ways this can be combated is by news outlets, instead of focusing solely on the downsides of working on anime, also reporting on the upsides as well. Obviously, bad word of mouth has led to many would-be workers not seeking out a career in this industry. And while I understand his sentiment, I actually don't necessarily agree with it. I think one of the reasons why the positives of the anime industry aren't reported on as much, or at least don't get as much attention, is because the negatives overwhelmingly outweigh those positives. Highlighting the good things about working in anime isn't just going to make all the bad stuff go away. It's kind of like putting a band-aid on a broken dam. At that point, there really is no stopping it. However, it does make you wonder, why exactly is it this bad? The biggest culprit here is, of course, money. The simple fact of the matter is that anime studios do not generate enough income for their employees to work comfortably or to receive a fair wage. And that might sound insane, after all, anime is incredibly hot right now and making a ton of money globally. However, according to the Association of Japanese Animations, in 2023, 32% of anime studios operated at a loss. And this is because, despite the fact that they're the ones that put in most of the work, anime studios only see about 13% of the overall 3 trillion yen revenue that's circulated in the anime market. You would think that the growing demand for anime would only be a good thing for these studios, right? I mean, it makes sense. More anime means more opportunities to make money. But what if I told you this growing demand was actually a bad thing for the studios? Already, anime studios make a shockingly low amount of money, yet with the increase in demand for anime, these studios are now being pressured to put out more anime than ever. And it's not even even that it's just more, but also that people are expecting higher quality now more than ever. Fans nowadays are really picky when it comes to animation. I mean, look at a show like Sakamoto Days. The animation of the show is totally serviceable, yet people have been raking it over the coals lately, saying it doesn't live up to shows like Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen. The producer for Spy X Family, Yuichi Fukushima, has said that this growing need for mind-blowing animation has caused a reduction in the amount of 20-plus episode seasons of anime in favor of the shorter 12-episode format.
Personally, I would like to prepare a system that can properly schedule and produce works a few years ahead, not works that can be released next year. Two core, it's getting harder to make.
But even in the case of 12 episode seasons of anime, delays are still a huge issue. 2023's Zom 100 was also a 12 episode anime, and it was notorious for its delays. And the labor shortage only makes this problem worse. People are just not wanting to work in these conditions anymore. I mean, it's gotten to the point that the Japanese government has had to get involved. On January 29th, Japan's Fair Trade Commission launched a federal investigation into the anime industry in hopes of shedding light on the issues that have been plaguing it, like companies giving unfair wages, making verbal contracts without any written evidence, or demanding retakes and corrections without proper compensation. Regardless of the corruption that they might find, it still doesn't explain why these studios have so little money to give to their staff. In order to find this out, we have to go deeper. Really dive into the dark recesses of the anime business. My friends, let me introduce you to the shadowy world of production committees. That sounded a lot scarier in my head. To give you guys an explanation, back in the day, the primary way that anime was made was through a studio or license holder bearing most of the anime's costs. And this can be very risky. After all, what happens if you sink a ton of money into an anime's production and it just flops? That's potentially millions of dollars down the drain, which could lead to the collapse of your business. Fast forward to today, and we now have what is called production committees. Here, instead of one company bearing the full brunt of an anime's production costs, several companies ranging from broadcasters to advertising agencies form a committee and all contribute to the anime's production. That way, there's not nearly as much risk to your business if an anime underperforms, and if it succeeds, then everyone involved gets a nice slice of the revenue pie. And in theory, this is all great. The issue is that anime studios, the people who actually do most of the work, are often not a part of this. The committee members are the one who actually own the IP rights for these anime, and therefore they're the ones who see most of the compounding long-term profits from stuff like streaming, merchandise, and licensing deals. Meanwhile, studios are typically only given a one-time payment to produce the anime. They're usually not seeing any long-term profits from the shows they work on, aside from Blu-ray and DVD sales. And let's be honest here, in the modern day where streaming is the primary means to consume media, relying on physical Blu-ray and DVD sales to keep your company afloat is like relying on a small gust of wind to redirect a train hurtling right towards you. This explains why so many studios are unable to pay their employees properly, and if you think it's bad for the bigger studios, it's even worse for the smaller and up-and-coming ones. For them, it's nearly impossible to survive in the industry, and it's all thanks to how these committees are ran. The people in charge are more fixated on the short-term success that the industry is bringing them, and in turn are blind to the fact that if you want to nourish a creative industry like this, you also need to look at the long-term picture. And with how things are going right now, the cracks are getting harder to ignore. So naturally, we have to ask the question, what can be done to make sure that these problems get fixed? When Anno went before those 110 lawmakers, he made a request to take swift action to support the industry. He pushed for financial relief measures in the form of a tax credit system for anime studios. After all, the anime industry is huge for Japan. It's great for their economy, and they should have every reason to make sure that it prospers. The Japan Research Institute has also suggested government intervention, specifically by automatically granting studios a 30% share of the IPs they work on, on, regardless of if they're in a production committee or not. This would allow them to make money from streaming and merchandise, which is where most of the money comes from. The government can make a huge difference here, and it seems like they're trying to. Like I mentioned before, the JFTC are currently conducting an investigation and are planning to put out a report by the end of 2025. This could lead to the government making a big push to cut down on all of these problems. I'm hopeful that in the future, money will finally trickle down and raise wages across the board. Anime is a creative medium and therefore a creative industry. It shouldn't be seen as a factory or a sweatshop where people who make the things so many people love are treated like this. And in my opinion, the best way to assure this industry's long-term survival is to nourish these people and give them the peace of mind that they can continue to create these incredible shows that we all love. I've been complaining about this since last year, and I'm glad that it seems like these things are finally being addressed. So with that said, while things have been pretty bad, it's never too late for them to turn around.